Hi, Hamish Conway here, and welcome to TACOS Tuesday, the place for the best Amazon ads strategies and tactics. And this week, you'll notice Sebastian is not here. He is busily putting together a full breakdown of the Black Friday 2-week deal window in Australia. And we're going to be recording that in a couple of days, and we'll share that with you next week. It's going to be fascinating, the findings we've consolidated from all of our clients, from big companies to small companies, and we'll share with you the trends of traffic and clicks and purchasing. So that'll be fascinating. And last week, though, this week here, I'm going to share with you 7 lessons from 10 trips to Australia. I'm based in New Zealand, only a 3-hour flight over to Australia, generally, depending on the wind. And at the start of the year, I made a commitment to go, right, I'm going to go to Australia every month because that's where our focus was for the business, and also Seb and Annika, 2 key leaders in the business based in Melbourne, and a lot of our key clients are there as well. So I really made a commitment to Australia, but I want to share with you 7 lessons that I've learnt through the year in doing this travel. Now, generally I'll go for 4 days, sometimes a week, but yeah, it's been useful. And now, regardless of where you're at, if you own a business, you will find this really interesting in terms of what I've learned from where I put my attention and just the outcomes from the effort that I've put in. If you are involved in a brand, then you're going to understand some of the thinking and behind what's going on and what I'm noticing in Australia as well. So you'll find that useful, and even just to grow your sales. Look, most people listening to this here, you're focused on like how do we grow sales? And for me, as an agency owner, there's things that we've done, but that apply equally across to someone looking to grow sales off your brand. So that's what we're going to talk about. It won't be sharing details around logistics and how to book flights and stop the Uber surcharges. Got absolutely screwed on the last trip with that, and I only lost my passport once in the back of an Uber. So this year, so I'm not going to talk about those things though, but we'll get into the core details that are going to be useful for you. Now, 2024. Interesting year in New Zealand, actually a pretty tough year for a lot of businesses. And while some will always do well, on the whole, it was a tough year for New Zealand businesses to be thinking about, right, we're going to expand into new marketplaces, into Australia or America, or if they were, it was very much just dipping the toe in the water and exploring the idea of it. And I work in across some other industries as well, from recruitment and even a tire business. And those businesses have had interesting years, and some, New Zealand on the whole has been tough. So going to Australia has been really interesting because I've just found it that Australian businesses are net positive, I'm going to call it. From being at conferences where you'd have no clue that there might have been a hint of a recession, even though with interest rates being high, just the attitudes have been really noticeable in how positive that they've been. And as tough as, some costs have gone up and there's some challenges there for sure, but people are continuing to look and build and grow their businesses, and really not worrying about the circumstances, but just focused on growing. So I really like that. And that's really shone through. And I guess the people that we've talked to, the customers we've got, because actually looking at our client base there, year on year, we've had a 40% growth in sales from the clients that we manage now. 40%, that's above normal for sure. And this is the interesting thing in Australia there with Amazon ads, with Amazon on the whole, they've just been providing a much better shopping experience, and with the same day delivery in main centers or next day delivery, like more customers are starting to go, this is actually a really great place to buy from. And now brands are really waking up to the opportunity. So maybe it's just the space that we're in, because not all channels are growing, but certainly the Amazon channel is one that brands are now taking very seriously. And therefore, the conversations around that have been really positive, and people looking to improve and looking to grow. So I've really enjoyed that. And, I kind of get my, because I work at home, I'm not exposed, I'm not like out in town a lot here in Wellington. But when I go to Australia, go to Sydney, Melbourne, or if there's been a conference over up in the Gold Coast, it's been really positive. So I really have enjoyed that. And that's kind of lesson, number one, or outcome number one, that I've really noticed, and hopefully that continues, and really it should. And that's, I love that, as I'm an optimist by nature, and I love being around people who are positive and really let's go charging ahead. So that's number one. Number two is focus matters. Now, Amazon is such a broad subject. It's actually kind of niche in some ways. When people go, "What do you do?" "I've got a specialist Amazon marketing agency," and they go, "Wow, that's niche." But even within that, we could be in Europe, India, USA, all over the show. There's so many countries, and there's so many aspects to this game, and even there's other channels that we could do. In the past, we were doing eBay, we were looking at Catch and helping people get onto multiple marketplaces and in multiple countries. But we made the decision to go, right, we're going to really double down on Amazon Australia. And also just because we know that we can make a big difference here on services that we're really good at. And we've been really doing our best to just keep that focused. And we've had to say no to some opportunities that don't fit that. We obviously still have a lot of business in America as well, with New Zealand companies, or also we've got Canadian, US companies, etc. But Australia is where we've put our energy into growing, and that's been a really important thing, and it's paid off. Like, actually now most of our clients, or 60+% of our clients, are now from Australia, where at the start of the year that wasn't the case. And so the New Zealand companies, we're not growing them, but they're not declining. So that's been interesting, but the focus has really paid off, and it does just simplify life. There's a million things you could be doing in terms of, any business owner, right? But so you've got to choose, and there's trade-offs, but making that decision just drives better results overall in the business, and just makes life a whole lot easier. And you're just better at what you do, rather than trying to do too many things. You just end up being average in all of them. So that's been a key lesson as well. Then, so the third thing has been consistency of being in person. Now, I did make the commitment to be there every month, and that consistency has paid off. And because there's a scarce ingredient in business, and that is trust. Consistency, though, builds trust, and it takes time with prospective clients, or with existing clients, to retain them as clients as well. And so through this, through constantly showing up, and we've had 5 conferences from, there was in no particular order, there was an Amazon Ads one that we had, there was an Amazon third party, there was an online retailer, there was a APP pharmacy conference we went to, and there's retail fest. So like 5 conferences that I showed up for. We also had 4 of our own events that we ran in Sydney and Melbourne. And the combination of those events, we have really interesting side conversations, but then also you're having meetings at at their premises. That over time just builds trust, because often when people are investing in a service provider, it's not a small investment, and they've got to make sure it works, or it's going to work for them, and it's a high trust channel that we operate in. So that's been really important. Just that consistency pays off. And yeah, and as we go down the list, there's another part linked to consistency as well. And hey, look, and even doing this podcast consistently, we're only up to episode 18 here. So it's been 18 weeks of doing this. But again, people have already been mentioning this podcast, and the education here has been happening. And so there's multiple touch points there that all over time build trust, and that pays off. So that's been consistency in person has certainly been a key lesson. And then kind of tied to this is patience. And look, in a year where, whilst companies are being positive about the channel, it's still a year where there's close scrutiny over every dollar that is being invested, and that has meant slower decision cycles. More proof is required, or digging really into the ROI side of things, and even looking at how we remove risk for it. So it's really been having to keep patient. And when I'm quite a optimistic person, and like I kind of move fast, and so really having to be patient, and you ride that line there of like trusting it's going to happen, right? And there's just decision cycles that occur. So being patient, but also persistent, not letting it go, and just striking that right balance there. So not annoying people. I might have on occasion as you kind of push that boundary, but just bring the patience to it, and just all those little proof points or touch points again, just build the trust and get to the point where people are willing to trust us to do business with them. And in some cases that has taken most of the year, like from meeting people in March to even this last trip, then that just leading to some work that we've won for next year, which is great. And actually it's been interesting as you get to this time of year and everyone's got their eyes on Christmas, but we are it's a lot of what we're doing now is just teeing up for next year, and that's the paying off on a lot of what's been happening through the year. So patience, very important. All right, lesson number 5 is it's really enhance the team culture, and really, particularly with Seven Annika in Melbourne and the leadership team, the fact that we get to meet together every month just builds that closer bond, and it all starts from the head, and that all flows down, and the team really care. They treat it as if it was their own. They really care about results for the customers, and it's been so great to have that opportunity to build the business with Seb and Annika in particular, but also in Melbourne, catching up with Victoria just last week as well, and Miraku's in Sydney now. And then back here in New Zealand, we've got Mark and Susie and Richard and Kirsten and Alice. And then in the Philippines, we've got Christine, Kraliza. We've got Faye, Craig, Francis, and Kathleen and Zyra. Actually, 17 of us now, kind of all remote in 3 different countries. And the fact that, Seven, Annika, and I can get together all on the same page, that's really made a big difference as well. And as I've said in previous podcasts, I think it was number 8 around confessions of a Amazon agency owner, that this remote work is difficult, but this has been a key way to help us build that trust internally as well. All right, so number 6, kind of linked to the in-person one, consistency. So this is constant innovation through conversations with clients and brands. And this space moves really quickly, and in terms of Amazon, and so we're constantly looking at, we see some ideas coming because we are in America and Canada and Europe, and we know what's going to happen in Australia. We're kind of testing out ideas and conversations to go, what would you think around Amazon Marketing Cloud if you could track that journey and attribution from first click through to last click? Would you like that? And getting people's feedback. Or what about from a fee recovery point of view? What do you know you've got a problem there, or do you have a problem? In person, you can have conversations, you can pick up on signals far better, and that has made a big difference as well. And we kind of spitball things, but just mostly we've been trying new things. Some of it's worked, some of it hasn't, as we kind of, we've got bigger brands that are vendors and some smaller companies that are third party, and what services we can offer there. Testing things in around AI for copy and images, and some of it's landing, some of it's not really. Amazon ads technology there is getting better, and just how we do that. So it's been constant innovation, but a lot of that comes down to when you're in front of clients and you're really having good conversations, and you figure out what the real challenges are, and then you can start going about solving those challenges, and also the opportunity to test ideas and have conversations to see what they like about it or what they don't like about it, so you can tweak it, and that's really helped as well. And actually, part of that there is that when you go into their offices and you're meeting with the main contact there, but then you start to meet others involved in the business, and that could be from the CFO through to the owner of the business, or marketing versus sales. And so you start to see the internal dynamic as well, and what solution is going to work, and how you need to reduce that risk as well. Because even when it has been where brands are taking longer on decisions, to actually be innovative in how we price as well, to help remove the risk. Anyway, constant innovation through those conversations has been invaluable. All right. And then number 7, this is a little bit more personal, and this has been around like how to manage my energy. And so, it's probably like probably like every other person out there, 8 out of 10 at this time of year. But certainly in September, I did burn out. There was one month I didn't go to Australia. I just needed a month at home, and I didn't really kind of realize it out of the gate. But when you hit that you're just getting ineffective, your thinking's not clear, there's a bit of lack of motivation, and just simple things become difficult. So that certainly happened. And because part of the challenge of being here is often doing quite big days. If you're starting up early and then you're working through to often 7 o'clock at night, if with Aussie time there, not all the time, but that can happen. You end up doing just big days, big weeks, and working from home. You don't have that kind of switch off button. Well, I don't anyway, and have a tendency to probably do too much. So that's still something to work on. And traveling, even though it's only a short distance there, you kind of go there, you're full on. Particularly if you get up, you have a bad flight time at the start. You're up early, New Zealand time, and then you come back from those trips actually being pretty gassed. And it's like getting better at recovering and putting in those actual switching off moments is something that I've just got to get better at. Otherwise, things don't quite work if you're not functioning. So that's been an interesting lesson there, to really just when I'm going away, making sure I'm getting the exercise, making sure I'm eating well, and getting the sleep on track, and not trying to jam too much in, which can often happen. Just allowing some breathing space in between. But we'll get better at that in the new year, and with a break coming up over the Christmas period, that'll be good. So anyway, so that's some lessons from 10 trips to Australia in 2024. Loving the positivity of Australian businesses. The focus really does matter, and it's so much more effective when you do less but better. Consistency builds trust, and particularly that in-person consistency really makes a difference. Patience pays off, having to ride that line of, obviously you want things to happen now, but being patient and taking all the steps that you need to get clients on board, particularly when you can really help them, and the sooner that you work with them, the sooner you can help them. Enhancing the team culture has been great with Seb and Annika, and also now Merrick and Sydney. Their constant innovation through those conversations that you just don't have over Zoom or over the phone. You've got to be there for those side conversations at conferences and in the offices of brands. And then 7, the big one, is just doing a better job of managing personal energy. So that's the lessons there, and really excited about 2025. And as I was saying a little bit earlier, we've got a lot of new clients looking to come on board in January and February lining up, and that's from a lot of the persistent and consistent work through 2025. And as per other episodes there, we've got the team, we've got the capacity to really do a great job of that. So we're looking forward to that. And continuing to do more events in the through the year. Like we started that in the middle of last year, but we're going to be starting in February, the 19th and 20th. So we'll keep you posted on those. And so every month, either Sydney or Melbourne, we'll be having an event, and we'll be back at the conferences, and we'll continue to do more of the education. And obviously there's this podcast, but providing more tools and resources. So looking forward to that in the new year. And as you start to think ahead to New Year, and if you are responsible for your brand on the Amazon platform, now is a great time to start reviewing 2024 and building a really robust plan for 2025. And given the perspective we've got of investing millions in Amazon ad spend every month, and certainly through the year, working with multiple brands, we've got this really unique perspective that we can help you benchmark your performance. And if you'd like to have a conversation about how we can help you review 2024 and plan for 2025, then go to gosellglobal.com, and you can find out more about us there, and you can book a call, and we can have a conversation. So hopefully you want to do that. If not, that's fine as well. And we'll keep on sharing what we're learning through the journey. And so next week we'll break down the Black Friday promotion period there, and then we've got one more, which will be a full wrap on Amazon ads and review for 2024. So a couple more to go. Looking forward to that. But thanks again for tuning in, and hopefully you found that useful, and do all those good things like and subscribe and comment or whatever you want to do there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All the best.